welcome on into another Monday Night Buffoon and Bokkins, everybody. My name's Tanner Dawson of the Whiskey Sports Podcast and the Sports Buffoons. Joined with me is Mr. S.J. Cobe1, Scott Cobe of Let's Talk Sports. Scott, what's up, dude?
I didn't get my banner from Nick. I don't have my Botkins Show banner I could point to, so I'm doing great, Tanner. How you doing?
I'm good, man. You didn't get your own flag or anything like that going?
No, I did not.
Mr. Nick Bokkins is out on vacation, going to try to meet up with Johnny Cruz and possibly stay with him. So, I don't know. Maybe he'll go fix his internet, too, at the same time. We'll see what happens there. Love you, Johnny. Great show earlier, by the way. Johnny and Ashton Booker went at it. It was a great show there. Cool stories. So, guys, we have, once again, another great show featuring Jim Behringer and Mr. Jonathan Grishman. Excited to talk with these guys about the current sports going on. And I do got one little surprise question for Jim that I'm hoping he'll answer towards the end of his time there. So we'll see when we get there. But I'm excited to talk with these guys. There's a lot going on in each sport. So, Scott, you had a request to do a little announcement before we start.
Yeah, shout out to Dan Harris. There's going to be a lot of changes in Let's Talk Sports. Everybody now is a general manager of Let's Talk Sports in one area or another. So shout out to Dan Harris. I mean, it took a lot of thought in terms of the general manager roles that everybody has, anywhere from Kansas sports to Florida sports to NBA to MLB to anything like that. So, and also he told me the other day he's gifted me a Tom Brady signed jersey.
Insane.
So that's insane. And everybody, I guess, yourself, Johnny, is getting something from Dan like that. So shout out to Dan. He's an amazing man, and he's doing Let's Talk Sports the right way. So
it's insane how far his story has come, how hard he's fought in all this stuff, and still out here recruiting, talking with people, and just letting people in, letting people in to, hey, try it out, give it a shot. What's it gonna hurt, right? And it's just amazing what he's doing. So.
Yeah, and I can assure you on my end, I mean, as everybody will say, Let's Talk Sports will be very well taken care of for years into the future. So
that's very true. That's very true. There's lots of future plans. There's some big announcements coming up, possibly the end of the month here, that myself is working on that I think everybody would love as well. So we got lots of stuff coming. Don't worry, this Monday night show won't be touched. We still got Jim and Jonathan on Monday nights. Don't you guys worry, because this ain't going anywhere in this business. So, all right, let's bring them in. Let's talk about it. There's a lot going on in the Stanley Cup playoffs that is happening right now. Very a lot of shocking news happening too outside of the Stanley Cup playoffs. I want to start talking right away here, Jim. I don't want to talk about the playoffs just yet. Let's talk about the conclusion of the first round of the Devils Rangers. The Rangers decide to part way with Coach Gerald Gallant after first round playoff exit here coming into play. What in the world is this? You made the playoffs. You traded out for – these are the same guys that traded out for the Blackhawks guy, right? Like they made moves during the trade deadline.
Yeah, they did. They did. I mean, look, not shocking. I mean, maybe surprising. But from all the reports and the indications I'm getting, they were looking at making this move in November, December after their slow start. Oh. So, I mean, again, is it all on the coach? No. Is it on the top players to get the job done? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. But in New York, like any team in New York, there's expectations, especially with this Rangers team. They went to an Eastern Conference final last year, lost in 6 games. They had the belief that they could get back there again. They have the goalie to do it. They have the players to do it. The problem is, to me, is I feel like Gallant's not finished. Like, you have 2 years and you decide this isn't your guy, and you're talking about like a year after you take him to the Eastern Conference final just because you didn't like his start, you want to make him. This tells me that, like, all right, first of all, why did you hire him? Mm-hmm. And 2, who do you think is going to be better to get this team over the top that has flaws? And you tried to make a splash. Look, this team last year at the trade deadline made smart, calculated decisions to add role players to fill needs. This year, they went for splashy players, guys that are past their prime, one guy who's hurt, who's been hurt and admitted he was hurt after the Rangers got eliminated. Again, he denied it all season. Oh, I don't have an injury, none of this. Well, clearly Patrick Kane wasn't the same player. Now, the coach has to put the lineup out there, has to have a system in place. They catered to Patrick Kane since game one. I was there against Ottawa. I saw it. They put him on the first power play unit. They moved a lot of guys around. The chemistry was affected. This Rangers team was good. The Tarasenko move I had no problem with because I thought he was fine. But they catered to Kane. When you had Trocheck on the first unit, you had a guy go and get pucks, keep things alive. I think you need little bit more time for the kids to develop. Again, that was their best line. They split them up way too much. But again, now these guys have to come into their own. Where are they going to go? The Rangers are up against the cap. Again, the in-game adjustments. He got out-coached. But again, your star players didn't show up for 2 games. You got shut out in 2 games. Yeah. There has to be onus on the players as well.
So this is a coach too that was 99, 46, and 19 in 2 years.
Yep.
This feels like this feels like something of like the NBA caliber of head coaching, right? Where it doesn't matter. You can win a championship, but then next year you're probably going to be gone if you have a losing season. This is exactly how the feeling is. It's like, hey, you had a great year, but you didn't get the job done. So we're gonna go ahead and can you here.
Talk about the Panthers-Leafs series, Jim, and what you've seen in terms of them being up 3-0 over Toronto.
It's the same script I've been seeing the last 4 years in the first round by the Toronto Maple Leafs. The script was flipped. I thought it was flipped. In round one, their guys were competing. Those guys were working hard. They were winning puck battles, getting to the dirty areas, scoring. Now it's the last year's Leafs team in the playoffs. Nobody wants to make a play. Nobody wants to get hit. Marners, Matthews, Nylander, Tavares, no goals. Again, it's like with the Rangers. Like, Kreider led the way, but Zibanejad had 1 good game. Panarin, no-show. Kane, no-show. Tarasenko, couple goals. And just to close out on the Rangers real quick, like they're up against the cap. They're going to have some decisions to make in regards to their young players. Like, where do they go? Who do they re-sign? And, yeah, it kind of makes me wonder who they want to bring in. No Joe Quenneville, Darryl Sutter. I think the old way of thinking in the NHL, you're starting to see turnover to former players, as we saw in Florida where Andrew Burnett took over. But Paul Maurice is doing a good job. The Panthers are hungry. They learned lessons from last year, and how ironic would it be if they sweep the Leafs out of the playoffs after the Leafs get out of the first round, first time in 19 years. But Florida got swept last year against Tampa. But Florida is making life miserable for this Leafs team. They're going in, retrieving pucks. No lead is safe. But the Leafs are making mistakes. They made mistakes against Tampa, but it didn't cost them. These mistakes are going in the back of their net. Like, and Sergei Bobrovsky's on fire right now. And look, no fault of their own, but like, these guys have to figure out a way to score and come up with the goods. Like, that's what they're getting paid for. Leon Draisaitl and Edmonton's figuring it out. Connor McDavid's doing it. Top players show up in the playoffs. The Leafs, again, for some reason, they're top stars. This is going to be the storyline when they get eliminated, is the top players didn't show up again. I made the analogy. It's like, and this is for Nick because he's not here and he would have loved this analogy. Night 1 of WrestleMania was so good. Night 2 was crap. And it's back to the same old Leafs team. It's great you have Ryan O'Reilly. It's great you have Luke Shen. It's great you have Nola Char. It's great you brought all these guys in to be physical. It's great you have that luxury of depth scoring. But your star players have to score if you want to win series. Period. Look at Tampa. Look at Colorado. Look at the teams that won the Cups. Their star players still scored. Where's Toronto's star players? On milk cartons somewhere.
On the golf course.
Right, exactly.
On the golf course, right? Yeah, by now. Does this season, like, even if Toronto gets swept, does it still classify as a winning season for Toronto?
No, absolutely not. Yeah. They have Stanley Cup aspirations. Everything fell their way. They got out of the first round. Boston lost. They knocked off the Eastern Conference champs. Like, the pathway was there for them to get back to a Stanley Cup final and potentially win one. And if they lose in 4 games. Now, the series isn't over yet. We've seen teams come back, but they're going to have to score and going to have to win a greasy game to get to keep this series alive and head it back to Tampa. I headed back to Toronto. Look, game 2, 2 goals, 46 seconds, changed this series. Toronto, stupid plays at the blue line. Just get the puck in the neutral zone and get it deep. Same yesterday. Matthews trying to flip it in, trying to do something stupid. Get the puck deep. Like, go win a puck battle. And I think that the fact that Matthew Nyes isn't in this lineup hurts this Toronto team because he was doing that stuff. That's what he was there. He's had a couple goals. He was playing well, but he was digging and he was grinding and he gave this Leafs team something. But their players are just not showing up right now. Meanwhile, Florida's players are. And you could see it in the overtime. Nobody wanted to touch Sam Reinhart. Okay, he gets the puck and scores. Series, game over.
Yeah. Yep.
That's
so,
right. Yeah.
New Jersey, Carolina, was it just simply a change of venue? Or what was it that led to New Jersey scoring 8 goals against Carolina in Game 3?
I think a combination of both. I think Nico Hischier kicked his team in the ass when he said after the game, we need offense, and it starts with me. Like how Toronto's top guys didn't show up. Devils' top guys didn't show up in the first 2 games. I think it was the emotion of I could get scratch game 1, emotion coming off game 7. I thought that was going to help them, but then I should realize it's the Devils. When they always play the Rangers, their first game after playing the Rangers, they always lay an egg because it's the Rangers and it takes so much out of them. Game 2, I was surprised at the result because they had such a first good 10 minutes, and they didn't have puck luck. Like, Dougie Hamilton's shot goes off the post on a power play. Freddie made a couple of unbelievable saves, but then they came out firing. The top guys started to show up. Jack Hughes. And I said this from the beginning. Luke Hughes needed to be in this Devils lineup. After game 2 of the Rangers series, I thought he should be in the lineup. After game 1 against Carolina, he needed to be in game 2. This Devils transition was so much better with him in the lineup. He's a great puck mover. He's quick, speedy player. And the Devils' offense, it showed. He had 2 assists. He looked good. Yeah, the mistake on a power play. Okay, but Dougie Hamilton has to come off the wall and help him out a little bit. But it's a 50-50 mistake on that. You still can't make that play on a power play. But still, he looked good. But the top guys showed up. Timo Meier scored. Nico Hischier scored. Jack Hughes, 4 points. Mercer. Like, their guys showed up. They got timely saves. I'm not going to advise any team to give up 3 shorthanded goals. Yes, they won. And history. And how weird is this? Teams that give up 3 shorthanded goals in the playoffs win. Players that score 4 goals, their team loses. So, I don't know. Like, the Hurricanes and Devils combined for 4 shorthanded goals yesterday. It's crazy. Weird Stanley Cup playoffs this year. Weird things in the NHL happened this year. But the Devils got things going. Maybe the crowd, they fed off the crowd a little bit. Home series. I expect Carolina to be better. I expect New Jersey to fix some mistakes. But again, still a home series. Road team still has to win a game right now. So it's still a series. I think New Jersey, to be honest, New Jersey can get this tie back going to Carolina 2-2.
Nice. We got Tufel out here. Fellers, what's up, Tufel?
Yo, what's up?
Man.
What up?
One of my favorite right there. So you're thinking we get a tie then. So you're thinking, like, whatever reason New Jersey likes to do this, apparently now. They did the first round. They had to come back to finally win the series. Are they going to have to do – are they doing the same thing essentially?
Yeah, I guess so. I guess they're going to do it again. I prefer to not do it the hard way, but
right.
Hey, look, Carolina was a faster team at home, and they struggle in Carolina. I mean, this is the 5th series these teams have played in the playoffs, dating back to 2001. The Devils have 3 wins in Carolina, 2 of which came in 2001 when they went to back-to-back Stanley Cup final. That was the year they lost to Colorado, and the other win came in 2009. So, I mean, it's a tough building to play in for New Jersey, but they have to figure out a way to win there if they're going to want to win the series. So, you got to play a simple road game. I think Luke Hughes being in that lineup will help now. But they have to give up, not giving up shorthanded goals, score a couple power plays. They got 1, but I always say it's negated because you gave up 3 shorthanded goals. So, again, this could hopefully doesn't wreck a goalie's confidence. We saw that last year with Edmonton and Calgary with that high-scoring affair. Markstrom has not been the same goalie since he got lit up by Edmonton, even though Calgary won. So, again, we'll see what the Devils do. But, it's a fun series so far.
Awesome. We'll move on to the next series here. Two Flyer says, I'm pissed my Avs just laid out against the Kraken. How about those Kraken taking just it to the Avs right now in this series here? I guess your thoughts, Jim, here on this. Like, does the Kraken stand a chance to move on now?
I mean, why not? They're up 2-1 on Dallas. I mean, they knocked off the defending Stanley Cup champions. They play a team game. They roll four lines. They roll four lines. Their defense is steady. Their offense is different. They're getting saves from Grubauer. Mm-hmm. I mean, they had 7 different goal scorers in Game 3, 5 different goal scorers in Game 1, 15 different goal scorers in the first. This has been their MO since the beginning of the season. Like, they have 5 guys with 15 goals, like 12 or 10 guys with like 10 goals. Like, Jaden Schwartz is healthy. Matty Beniers gives them a different look. Yes, McCann's out right now. Burakovsky's still out. But this team is playing a team game, playing team defense, and they just do not go away. Like the Florida Panthers, they do not go away, and they just roll 4 lines continuously. Bang ya, and just come and just roll. But I expect Dallas to have a bounce back. Ottinger's shown he can shake these kind of games off. But I'm surprised Dallas is not being more assertive than they were. I thought they'd come out better considering what they did to Minnesota. But hey, give credit to Seattle and the way they've been playing defense. And how funny would it be if 2 expansion teams are in the Western Conference Final?
That'd be pretty insane there. And like Seattle, a great road team all year long. Exactly what they did the Avs in the first round. It was beat them on the road. And this is a team that has also, Scott, you might quote me here, but I believe they've been over this. This has been an over goal series every game.
So, yeah, it has been.
Yep.
Yeah, so far it has been. And I think New Jersey's been over the goal total as well.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
I mean, the goals were like 5.5. New Jersey and the Rangers played 5-1 games, I think, the first 2. So
yeah,
it's insane. Do you see a parallel between what Seattle's doing now and what Vegas did when they first got in the playoffs?
It's definitely similar because no one gave them a chance. And I think we have to realize we can't underestimate these franchises anymore, these expansion teams, because the rules are different. What Vegas did in the first year should never happen. Like, a team should not go to Stanley Cup final. But but the Golden Misfits, as they were labeled, they were the us against world mentality, played a team game, but they steamrolled everybody.
Yeah,
like, Seattle's not steamrolling anybody. Yeah, they're winning big games, but Vegas was winning series in 5 games, sweeping. Like, they were dominating, and then they met up with Washington. And hey, we know it was the summer of Ovi. So and that was a great summer because, man, those clips were great. But look, good for these expansion teams, but then the success happens, and then that's why, like, when Vegas didn't make the playoffs or lost in the first round, it's like, we're not supposed to lose here. Well, yeah, but you're not supposed to be in a Stanley Cup final in your first year of existence either. Like, all these teams before you had to go through growing pains. You're not going through the growing pains. You're going through some growing pains along the way. So there's going to be some growing. Last year was a growing pain for Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the West is very tough to get through. Can they do it again? Vegas has shown you can sustain it.
Yeah.
Again, it's going to be tough because that division is tough. And who knows if Seattle even gets back to the playoffs next year.
Right. Agreed.
Yeah. So the final matchup here of the Stanley Cup playoffs that I have not been paying any attention to in this one is the Vegas-Edmonton matchup here. Tied 1-1, currently playing tonight. It is 2-1 Vegas at 16 in the second here. So they're just starting the second here. Going to play. So what is this matchup? What's the key? Is this going all the way? Like, what are we seeing here?
I mean, this probably has 7 games written all over it. But Vegas got to stay out of the penalty box. I mean, the Edmonton Oilers power play is the best in the National Hockey League. Regular season and now postseason, I believe they're 16 for 24 on a power play. Like, lock it in when they have a power play, it's a goal. Like, and Draisaitl, 13 goals in the playoffs, leads the points, leads goals. McDavid is ridiculous. But, Vegas is giving them, everything and more. The problem is it's like with Toronto, we talk about star players. Well, what we've been saying about Edmonton for years, goaltending and defense. Edmonton scores the first goal, in Game 3 like they did in Game 1, they gave it right back. Like that, you can't do that. Like their defense is not good, and you have a $9 million player in Darnell Nurse who is constantly on the ice in bad positions, and goals are scored against. Again, tonight, as we record, Marchessault's second goal late in the first period, out of position, guy in the slot, and they score. I mean, he did it in LA. I mean, they were paying for his potential, but his potential is not even $9 million. Unfortunately, he's not that good. In my opinion, he makes too many mistakes to get paid that much, and he's always out of position. And that's what's going to cost the Oilers a chance to play for a Stanley Cup is their goaltending and their defense. Their power play and their offense is great. We know that. But you have to stop the puck. And Vegas is, right there with them. Jack Eichel's having a great series. Mark Stone, Marchessault, all those guys. It's a fun series to watch.
What do you got, Scott?
So go back to Florida for a minute. Do you believe in the East Carolina, New Jersey winner is probably going to get to the Stanley Cup Finals? Or do you think Florida can throw a monkey wrench into that?
Why not Florida? I mean, look, Bobrovsky's locked in. I mean, he's playing like he's the $10 million man. I mean, Florida's got the will and the skill. Now, if they sweep, maybe time off hurts them because they have so much momentum right now. And we've seen that in the past. But, New Jersey has a chance to get there. Why not? Why doesn't Carolina, to me, overall, I think could match with Florida. Florida's going to do what Carolina is doing to New Jersey, especially, and I saw that in the regular season against New Jersey with Florida. They like to manhandle them a little bit, play a little bit more physical, shut down that speed game. But it'd still be a fun series
Right.
if New Jersey gets there. But Florida has a chance to get to the Stanley Cup final like they did in 1996. Do they win it? I'm not sure. It depends on who they play. But again, if they sweep and the Devils go longer, is the time off going to hurt them?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And we've seen that. It usually does.
Gotcha.
So the Nick Barkins take would be Florida, Seattle in the Stanley Cup Finals. Would the NHL love that or not?
That would be. I mean, not to say it wouldn't be a good Stanley Cup. And by the way, Seattle hasn't been in the Stanley Cup Finals since I believe 1919 or 1920. Well, it was the old Metropolitans when the Metropolitans won the Stanley Cup in 1917. By the way, the only expansion team ever to unveil a Stanley Cup banner on their opening night of existence. They unveiled the Metropolitans Stanley Cup banner from 1917.
Cool.
Which that was kind of
wow.
cool. Yeah.
That was cool.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, hey, an expansion fan, that means the first time Stanley Cup winner if it's Seattle and Florida.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Big
I
time.
mean, it'd be kind of cool, to be honest, because the Stanley Cup final will be back in Seattle.
Right.
I mean, I think it would be cool, but again, we got to get there first.
Listen, I'm a big fan of Seattle. I wouldn't mind seeing them make the Stanley Cup final. What they're doing is amazing. So,
yeah, I think it would be pretty cool. So,
all right. We got a couple comments here from Tufel. He says the Avs won their first year, though it was a moved team situation. Screw the Oilers for the record. Also, remember Florida got their asses swept in the finals by the Avs. So Tufel is just a little bit of an Avalanche fan. Just so
a little bit, but also don't forget the Quebec Nordiques moved to Colorado. It was, it wasn't an expansion team; it was a relocation. So,
and Carolina's
and by the way, that Nordiques team that moved to Colorado was pretty good, and probably should have won a Stanley Cup as a Nordiques team. But they just didn't have the goaltending. When they got Patrick Waugh, everything kind of fell into place for Colorado. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
And Carolina was formerly the Hartford Whalers, so.
Yeah, exactly. And Carolina won in 2006, so it took some time. It took Tampa time to win a cup. They came into existence around I believe 92, 93. Same with San Jose. So it took them some time. Well, San Jose still hasn't won one, but they went to a Stanley Cup final.
Yeah.
So, it takes teams time. But again, I wouldn't mind seeing Seattle in. It'd be kind of cool. But again, got to get there first.
Long ways to go.
Well, yeah, Florida did get their butts handed to them, but if I do recall, the last 2 games in Florida were a lot closer than the first 2 games in Colorado.
Yeah, it was.
Especially Game 4 that went to triple overtime. Yui Krupp, game winner.
Tufel says, "Thank you, Canadians, for pissing Roy off."
Never forget that night, Patrick Waugh and the Montreal Canadiens against Detroit when he got put 10 on him, and he told the general now, if you remember the old Montreal Forum, if you've seen pictures,
I do.
The GM and everything was right behind the bench and everything. He went right past the coach, Mario Tremblay, and looked right at the trade and said, "You're trading me now."
Yeah, I remember that.
And he looked right at Mario Tremblay the whole night with this look on his face that he was not happy.
Wow. Tufel also says, "The fact Krupp nailed that one. Good on you, my guy." Tufel, if you're not following him, at Jim Behringer on Twitter, dude, this is all he does outside of wrestling too. And he'll give you some NFL takes too. It's always good. There's tons of good stuff, man. At Jim Behringer at Twitter. All right, here's my off-the-wall question before we get you out of here, Jim.
Yeah.
There was a return in WWE this past weekend, I believe. Mr. Carlito.
Oh,
he looked just as big as he did before. It seemed like he doesn't seem like he changed his body type at all. Is this a permanent thing, or it's just like a guest appearance? Here you go. See you later.
I think it was like a one-off. I mean, he's open. He's kind of open to whatever they offer him. But don't forget, he wasn't the only cameo at Backlash. Savio Vega was there too.
Oh, yeah.
Savio, like that was cool to see. Like Backlash was pretty good. I actually enjoyed watching it. Like it reminded me of old NXT shows, and it was fun to see all those cameos.
Don't forget they were in a place that they normally don't go, and especially for a pay-per-view. So they wanted to bring back 2 or 3 guys that are part of that fabric where they were. So Carlito and Savio Vega were fits for that.
Exactly, and the fact that they were in Puerto Rico and everything, it was cool. And usually they don't, they normally don't treat the hometown guys the right way. It's finally good to see them getting treated the right way, and especially in Puerto Rico and Savio and Carlito. That was cool.
And how crazy is this? AEW is going to Wembley Stadium in London.
65,000 seats already sold.
Yep.
Insane.
That's awesome.
It is.
That's great time. Great time to be a wrestling fan. I don't care what anybody says. And this is my MO for everybody. Enjoy what you want to watch. You want to just watch WWE? Fine. Just want to watch AEW? Fine. You want to watch Impact? Fine. Don't bash the others for doing good things because you don't like that company. What AEW is doing in Wembley is great for the business. What WWE did in Puerto Rico, good for the business.
Absolutely.
What everybody's doing is good for the business.
Absolutely.
Just enjoy it.
It is.
Them going to Saudi Arabia every year is great for the WWE as well. I mean, Night of Champions is there this year.
I mean, look, regardless of what do you think, whether you think, what do you think about Saudi and blood money, whatever, doesn't matter. They make a ton of money, and they're going to get it every year. Absolutely. And you could see it depending on where they have it in the quarter. It raises the revenue. The revenue was down first quarter this year because there was no Saudi show. Guess what? It's going to be up in the second quarter because of the Saudi show.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
It is. God damn it, Tufel. Does new midget cello wrestling count at the strip club?
Come on.
Come on.
Leave it up to Tufel, guys. Leave it up to Tufel to bring this kind of stuff into the show. Oh man. Look, by the way, I want to know any thoughts on Drew McIntyre right now. Does he contract?
Look, I mean, apparently there's supposed to be like a big surprise tonight. I don't know if it's gonna be him. I don't know if it's gonna be Orton. I don't know who's it gonna be, but he is unhappy with his contract situation. He is unhappy with the way his character is. And I don't blame him because, he hasn't really got a fair share ever since the audience came back. He never really got his true run with the WWE Championship. And that's not really fair to him. He was pandemic champion. And he never got his moment with the fans. But if I'm him, I'm looking at Wembley with no matches announced. Man, AEW looks good to me right now. If I'm him.
You would think, right? Like you would have to think that they would take that kind of talent and bring it over. See, I thought Drew, because like I said, I stopped following probably right before COVID kind of stuff. I was not into it, but I still knew what was going on. I always felt like Drew was like that Braun Strowman type that would always always be in the, in and out of the competition for the heavyweight, year in, year out kind of thing. Like always a rotation with Lesnar, Strowman, what's his face? Superman Punch. Brock.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Roman. Yeah.
Roman. Yeah. And like, I always thought like he'd be one of the main guys that's in that, like some kind of like 4 or 5 man rotation. They always like to do year in, year out through the next couple of years. And you just never saw him. Granted, there was injuries at time, but he just never got his for sure chance in it. So it was very disappointing.
And what the WWE did tonight, knocking Cody Rhodes out of the tournament, is something too.
Well, that's because they have plans next year for Cody Roman too at WrestleMania 40.
Yep.
Man, that's insane.
But here's the thing: this title is meaningless.
Yeah,
it ruins Roman's reign right now. No pun intended, because of what he's doing.
Yep.
But it's artificial. It's an artificial streak because he's not on television all the time.
Exactly.
The draft is meaningless. The brand split's meaningless. So it really doesn't matter. It's just a participation trophy.
Yeah.
Just to have a champion on TV. When all you had to do was make Cody champion at WrestleMania, and everything would have been fine.
Yep. No doubt.
No, we don't do that.
No, we don't. No, we want to have Roman pass Hogan and have rematches at WrestleMania 40 like this was going to be The Rock. And it's like, if you do what's best for business when your company is at the hottest mark, that would have been the smart thing to do.
Yeah.
I agree.
But for some reason, Triple H likes the long burn storyline.
No, but it's not. But it's like, but we're just going to follow what we're going to do anyway. Yeah, but why? You don't have to. What if the Austin era never happened?
Exactly.
Like, you're going to keep the belt on Shawn Michaels? That would have been stupid.
Oh,
Austin had to win.
Absolutely.
Cody needed to win because you could have had matches.
Yeah.
Yes. You could have. There should have been more with it, but we don't. We don't do that way.
No, not at all.
Oh, man. All right, Jim, we'll get you out of here, man. Appreciate you coming on, talking Stanley Cup playoffs with us, WWE, AEW. Always enjoy your stuff, man. Go follow him at Jim Behringer on Twitter, guys. You'll catch everything that's breaking. He's got you.
Absolutely. Check me out there. Guys, always a pleasure to be on the show. Closing a busy Monday out with you guys.
That's right, man. Appreciate you, Jim. Have a great Monday. Have a great week, dude.
You too as well. Keep up the good work, fellas.
Thanks, man. See you later.
Bye-bye now.
Bye.
That was Jim Behringer at Jim Behringer, everybody. Go follow him. Always a great time. Scott, man, I want to ask you one question before we move on here. And we talked about a little bit on In the Hoop here. I want to get your thoughts here on this Nuggets Suns deal going on. Joker last night. The Suns owner got up, decided to stand up for whatever reason, hold the ball, stand up, and Joker just kind of shoved him lightly to the side. Nothing big. My buddy Mike thinks it's a full run our test situation going on to play here, and I don't understand that yet. But
no, I don't.
Okay, whatever, dude. But like, what's your thoughts here? Suspension? Are we thinking a fine? Are we thinking anything's going to happen with Joker?
I don't think anything's going to happen with him. I think if you looked at it, he was trying to get the ball.
That's all he was trying to do.
And that's all he was trying to do.
You had the guy to the left of the owner stand up, already up in his face. Yeah. The owner decided to stand up for whatever God's reason. And it's like, you're touching the guy. Like, what are you doing?
Is he the most unstoppable player in the NBA right now?
Far. Nobody else is unstoppable right now.
No.
At all. Like, the guy throws up these ridiculous numbers. Even Kevin Durant in the press conference was like, he's stupid. Like, it's just stupid. It's just stupid trying to guard him, pace with him. Like, is it maybe Joker's fault that Ayton is on the bench, or is it Ayton's fault?
Well, it's a little of both, I think. I mean, it doesn't matter who you put on Joker. They're not going to stop him. He can hit threes. He can go inside. He can hit foul line jumpers.
He's going to pass the ball. We had what, the 20, was it 24, 17, 17 game when we talked about it Sunday?
Yep.
How stupid is that?
And people, start giving Devin Booker some credit here.
Oh, yeah.
He is really, he's a top 10 player in the NBA, I think, right now. He's one of the best shooters that the NBA has right now. Yeah.
I'll give you top 6. I'll give you top 6 right now. I think he's that high up, and he's showing too that he's a bigger weapon. He's the weapon that KD should be right now. Is why they traded for him. Yeah. They traded for him for KD to be like this, and they're getting Devin Booker to be like exactly what he was the last few years, even more now.
Yeah,
and it's just a compliment.
And I heard a stat on NBA radio this morning from the starting lineup: 9 playoff games for Devin Booker, 7 30+ playoff games, 7 out of 9.
Insane.
It's insane.
But
he's
you can't think it's sustainable, right? You can't think it's sustainable for 2 guys. Like finally, the Suns bench scored 40+. Hallelujah! Yep. Their depth showed up.
Landry Shamet, 5 threes.
He can't be consistent.
No, and he's going to have to continue it. I know that people don't think he can keep it up at this level, but I think he can to a degree. But he's going to have to for them to advance. They have to win Game 5. I don't want to go into Denver in Game 7 and think I can win that game. Yeah,
it's gonna be interesting. Like this whole series just got a lot more watchable going after that last game last night. So
you want offense? This is the series for you if you want offense.
Oh, that's all it is. That's all it is right now.
Absolutely.
It's so much fun though to watch too. Because you don't know, like you're gonna watch Booker go for like 40. You're gonna watch Joker go for like 30 and 7, like 15 and 15.
Yeah,
it's stupid right now. Right now, so you had the Heat tonight. They ended up winning versus the Knicks, 109-101. So that puts them at a 3-1 lead in the series, and soon to be starting here shortly not too long ago, Golden State, Los Angeles. So, which is another fabulous matchup. So lots of NBA still to come, guys. We got a lot more to talk about past the show, but let's talk about it here right now. It's a sport. I don't really cover any other sport because I don't talk with any guys that like to talk about this sport. The buffoons, like the Royals, we don't talk about the Royals. They were the worst team on Saturday in the league. They're not anymore. They're second to worst. So don't worry. We're still ahead of the A's, baby. We're still ahead of the A's. And Nick doesn't like talking about the Cubs because he just gets mad all the time. So he has to keep his blood pressure down. So we got to talk with Jonathan here, man. Jonathan's our guy that we got to talk with. So let's bring him in. Jonathan Grishman. What's up, Jonathan? What's going on, dude?
Jonathan in. How you doing, Jonathan? Kansas City's up 12. Kansas City's up 12-4 against the White Sox. So you got another win coming.
Not the worst team in the league. Look, I was wearing my Royals shirt on Saturday. The Locaine retirement. We had Yost in the house. We had Zobrist. We had Gordon, and we blew it. And it was like, right of all the games you're gonna blow, like why does it got to be the game where you retire Locaine? You have all the the World Series guys in the house, and you decide to go out and just put a stinker on the worst team in the league. Like what the world is going on in this place? Oh man. Real Fresh says sorry. Hey dude, you're fine, dude. Don't worry about it. Two Flyers says yet they still want to have people pay for a new unneeded seat in town. That is correct. And unneeded, because what's the point of putting a downtown stadium when you don't have a winning team? If they're not going to go watch the Royals, that's 10 minutes away from downtown. What makes you think they're going to go to downtown, fight the parking, fight the traffic to go watch a 9-win team at this point?
Because I answer that real quick for you, because the Braves did that in the process and the Rangers did that right now. You increase your value as an organization, and you're able to make some more money because of it's a brand new stadium. Your revenue is going to go up because of that, and you can go spend more money to make the team better. You got to cut. It's a crappy way to run business, because again, we see it all the time. We're seeing the A's do it right now. You cut your spending to make more money, so then when you move into the new stadium, you have a ton of money to spend. So Royals, I'll say this for you Royal fans, you kind of hope for it because the pocketbooks will open up a whole lot more.
You know what I'm waiting on? The pocketbooks are Mahomes' second contract, because there's no way we're opening the pocketbooks until that happens. So Mahomes is a part owner, by the way, in case you guys don't know, of the Royals. So, which is very cool that he's invested into this hometown team. He's also part owner along with Brittany in the KC Current, their women's soccer team as well, who's just built a new stadium right next to Argosy, where we stayed for the draft. Let's see here. We got 2 fly here real quick. It's a cluster down there. It's like unloading a septic truck in a freshwater trough and open for the best. Dang
All
you
right.
people. Dang you.
Let's open this up.
Rockies built Coors Field downtown Denver 2 years after using Mile High. That didn't do shit for spending. And his final comment here was, so the boost in funds makes it a better team. Is it feasible? Just because you saw the Rockies do it, we might see, hey, we got Mahomes on the team, right? He's part of the owners. He might start forcing the spending.
Colorado, you can't say, because no pitching is going to go to Colorado. You know, that's why Rangers were never able to get pitching going to Texas, going to Arlington, because of the heat and how the ball just launched out of there. Once they got the roof in, oh, hey, you got Jacob deGrom, which I get. Jacob deGrom is a, he's a broken pitcher basically that can give you 15 good starts. But, when they built that roof and they kind of controlled the environment, it was a lot easier and a lot better to get players to come there. Colorado, they'll never get pitching in Colorado just because it's a launching pad. So Colorado's the outlier in that side of it. That is it just will never work to to get the players they need to be competitive in that division. But I mean, you see it all the time. Braves, they moved into the new stadium. Boom, they spend more money. They're now a top 5 or a top 7 payroll. Rangers built a new stadium. They were spending a whole lot of money getting Corey Seager, Marcus Semien, Jacob deGrom.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a precedent set when the new stadium is built, money spent. The other one who you could say they didn't do it, Miami, and that's just because Miami, they're just cheap asses down in the South Beach.
So 2 fly here says pitching, they have humidors that adjust the ball, proven through science that nullifies thin air. Have you ever met like a top quality pitcher that believes in freaking science? So I guarantee you all those guys are crazy that are really good at pitching, and they're not going to listen to anything science.
Unless it's spin rate, and then they're all bad scientists. Then they're all, or if you're Scherzer and you're a chemist, with sweat and rosin too. So I mean,
yes.
And the other thing is they went to Mexico City for 2 games where Rob Manfred wants to have a baseball team. And the first game was 16-11. It was San Francisco Giants were one of those teams. They can't score 11 runs in a game to save their lives. Yeah. But they did it in Mexico City. So,
yeah, those guys did okay. Real Holiday, Goose Gossage. Yeah, they did okay. Not everybody will, though. Jonathan, before we get going, because I know Scott's really eager to ask you a lot of MLB questions here. How was the weekend, dude?
Man, weekend was good until the damn weather started acting up down here in Texas. We got rained out. 2 of my teams got rained out on Sunday. My baseball team was the number 2 seed after going 1-1 and lost to the number 1 team in the tournament on a walk-off ground ball that we just misplayed. But growth, my goodness, that team, they battled and had opportunity. We won the first game 9-5, and then came back and had a lead in the last inning, and we just couldn't hold it. That's the next part we're trying to teach them, is how to finish and how to finish ball games when you have that opportunity. But they're on the cusp of that. They were the 2 seed of that tournament, which when they got rained out, they were awarded the 2nd place of the tournament. So my very first, in the baseball side of the program, my very first top 2 finish in Alpha history. So I'm very happy and proud about that. Awesome. For that group. Our girls, our 14U girls, they went undefeated in bracket. They went 1-1 in pool, was kind of in the middle of the pack up there, and then they just turned it on and went undefeated in bracket on Saturday. Got to the top 4. It got in the top 4 of the tournament, and lo and behold, it rains, and we don't get to play in that one as well. So it was disappointing because I had 2 of my teams on my 14 baseball and softball that were hot, and they were ready to go and try to win some games on Sunday. So very disappointed on that. 10U had a great start. They were top 4 in their tournament in pool play. They were in some of these tournaments, they have like 24 teams, 25 teams. and they break them up in 3 different brackets. They have diamond bracket, gold bracket, and then the bottom part of the tournament, it's silver bracket. And they were 2-0, and they were in the diamond bracket, the toughest part of the tournament. This is the 3rd time this group, and this is my 10U younger girls. They're still kind of learning, and it's the 3rd time in 4 tournaments they made it to the diamond bracket of their. Not finishing it right now. They've kind of been struggling at least to get to that point of beating those teams in there. But what makes me happy is they're getting there. I'd rather lose in diamond bracket than go win in gold or silver bracket. So they're on that cusp of breaking that door down and being able to win some games and go compete for championships at that level too. 12U team, they're still growing. That's our development team. They're still learning. We're still trying to get them going a little bit more right now. They went 1-1 in their bracket in their tournament, which was a good start for them. And then just kind of some things they're still trying to work through on our bracket games, where we're trying to make sure that they can kind of keep competing. We want to make sure that they're focused on that side of it. They're a little bit shell shocked at times when they go and win a game, and they're like, "Oh, we did that." Yes, expect that you can do it. So we're pushing them, and they're learning, and they're getting to the right direction. But overall, it was a great weekend. I just hated the fact that Texas weather did what they did to us and had to rain us out for Sunday. We couldn't finish out 2 of the tournaments that of the teams that played. So, but very happy and very proud of what they've done so far. What this weekend was like. And I'm ready for. I'm hoping for 2 weeks we can get back on the field and do it again. We can finish the job next time.
Hey, lots of positivity in there. Lots of growing. Lots of make sure they're learning to finish. Right, it's huge in this game. The weather forecast isn't starting to look the greatest for your Texas region, but hopefully it's maybe during the week, and then you can take care of business on the weekend and take care. That's what we need, right? The week,
Definitely.
you can work around practice. You can do other things there. But that weekend needs to be clear, it needs to be sunny, it needs to be nice, and it's time to go. So I did try to throw my hat in your coaching opportunity there, but I got denied on the move to Texas. So
we are trying to expand. We're trying to expand the baseball side and get a couple more teams for the fall season. That's the next venture we're doing right now.
That sounds right up my alley, but I got denied on the Texas move. So maybe next time, man. I'll try again. We'll get some.
I'll expand out to the Missouri, Kansas area. I'll be more than happy to do that.
Hey, you got my number, dude.
Definitely.
You know where I'm at. I'm just waiting to get back into the game. I was ready to dust off what I used to write practices on, dude. I was getting ready to get that out, and then I got denied. So, but hey, you just give me the yell, dude. You give me the yell when you're ready. We'll get something going.
Hey, we'll talk about it. Absolutely.
I like it. All right, Scott. What you got, man?
So the early season darling, the Pittsburgh Pirates, have come back down to earth here a little bit.
Yes.
Is it a matter of who they're playing, or is it a matter of them just coming back down to where we all thought they could possibly be?
You cut off a little bit, I think. Can you repeat that, Scott?
The Pirates.
Yeah.
Okay. Are they a victim of who they played, or are they a victim of who we thought they were and just came back down to earth?
I think a combination of both. Of it. They're young still. We know there's young. We knew that at some point there was a moment we know that it's going to come back and be like, hey, they're scratching the surface of being that team, but it's a matter of the maturity and growing of being able to be a contender. That takes time. We saw that with Seattle last year when they made the moves they did, and they're like, hey, we're going to buy in and go. And there was a moment where they struggled a little bit during the second half of that season as well. So I think it's a combination of both. They play tough teams, and you had a tough schedule. They've shown they can beat tough teams too. So I don't. I mean, they played Tampa, I believe, this past last week, and Tampa's good. We're not sugarcoating that. They're the best team in baseball. So I'm not going to sit here and cast doubt because they couldn't beat Tampa. Tampa's just that they are who they are. So it is a product of who they played, but at the same time I think they also played the Blue Jays too. Blue Jays another good team. Are they so the question more is, are they ready to make that jump and be a contender?
Yep.
It's still too early to say yes or no, that was an opportunity because that was an opportunity to do it. If you knock off, if you win a series against Toronto, if you win a series against Tampa, my goodness, we're putting the stamp on Pittsburgh right then and there. But I don't think we cast the doubt that they're not a contender just because they couldn't beat those two teams. Now, if they continue a slide over the next week, now it's like, okay, yeah, this is kind of what we were expecting. It was just a matter of time they fall off the cliff, and we're starting to see it right now.
Okay, I got a question for you. Okay, there's a big move, and I disagree with it because I think they're trying to find a scapegoat right now. The St. Louis Cardinals decide to blame Wilson Contreras for their woes. Like legit, that's what they're doing right now. They decided to take him out of the lineup. They're benching him, essentially is what they are. A veteran guy. Yes, sure, you haven't like quite clicked on this team at all, but he's not your reason why you're losing. What's your thoughts on this move here? What are we seeing next? Because we talked about this, what I want to say, early April, like right around the season started. And we talked about this about, I think, 2 weeks in, Jonathan. And I mean, we were thinking about second week of May here that there's going to be a manager change, possibly a third week. We may not get out of May. What's your thoughts here with this situation?
Yeah, I think we are starting to see cracks in the St. Louis Cardinals foundation that we've never seen in the last 20, 30, almost 30 years. I guess you can go that far back. I guess really the peak era of St. Louis Cardinals was over the last 20, 25 years. And we're seeing cracks in that foundation that has been the established, pedigree of St. Louis Cardinals baseball. When have we ever seen dysfunction in Cardinals than we have seen in the first month and a week and a half, first month and a week of a season like we have so far, that you paid so much money for the replacement of a Hall of Fame catcher who is a top 2 catcher in baseball, and you can't figure out how to make this work. Does that fall on Contreras? Yes, it does. Does it fall on the pitchers? Yes, it does. Does it fall on the coaches? Yes, it does. Somebody there's going to be more. I think we're starting to see a little bit more of even bigger changes that's going on, because this has just been outrageous to watch, and it's so uncharacteristic for Cardinals for the St. Louis Cardinals to even see how you have these reports coming out, these leaks. When have you ever heard of leaks like this coming out of the Cardinals organization? In the last 20 years, this is just astonishing. What has transpired?
I feel like the last time we ever remember anything like this, I feel like it was sometime right after Albert Pujols left the first time. I feel like there was some kind of, I can't remember exactly what it was, but I remember like this Cardinals organization, like at least a year of just nothing. Like it was just awful. It's just a bunch of bad news going on, and then they kind of came back to life a little bit after that. But I feel like the Albert Pujols situation was the last time I remember any kind of drama.
Yeah, to an extent of that, but because the difference is you still had the leadership of Molina, you had the leadership of Chris Carpenter, you had the leadership of Adam Wainwright, and the coaching and front office were all on the same page. We haven't seen this club be on the same page with anybody, players, coaches, manager, front office, like at all this year. That's what's just mind-boggling to see this. And they're, as you said, they're looking for a scapegoat. And now you're gonna it's the guy you paid, what was it, $90 million? Yeah. Am I wrong? Or you paid top dollar. You paid top dollar for Wilson Contreras to come on board, and you're throwing him under the bus. And now you have to save face and be, as the general manager in the front office, they're like, oh no, that report's not true. We're not moving him to the outfield. You better not move him to the outfield, because you paid him to replace Yadi. That was what you paid. You brought him to replace Yadi Molina. You didn't bring him in to replace Tommy Edman or Harrison Bader in the outfield, or I threw Edman's name out there probably incorrectly, but you didn't replace. If you're going to trade Tyler O'Neill, you're not putting Contreras out there to replace O'Neill. You brought him to replace the Hall of Fame catcher, or the future Hall of Fame catcher. Something has to work. You have to make it happen. Otherwise, not just Marmel's going to lose his job. There's others that are going to lose their job, because this is just absolutely horrendous on how things have transpired, and it's just spiraling out of control.
You sent Dylan Carlson down and replaced him with Wilson Contreras. Unbelievable. It really is unbelievable what's going on there.
By the way, 5-year, $87.5 million deal is what it was.
Yeah.
5-year, $87.5 million deal. And he even stated that, hey, we got off to the wrong start, bad start. Like, sure, whatever. It happens. Like when you transfer teams, sometimes it takes a little bit to build chemistry past spring training. But you can't go out here and blame a guy that's been a veteran presence out there that went, did the World Series with the Cubs. Like you can't do this. This is not the reason why the St. Louis team is horrendous right now. There's more to it than what we're seeing.
Right. And
absolutely. Yeah, it's just it's a matter of does somebody lose their job to find out exactly what's going on? I think we're heading in that direction. Again, we talked about when. I think it's the question. It's when. It's not if. It's when. The more we get into May, I don't think it's going to happen this month. I think they're going to try to give somebody an opportunity to at least establish the reasoning. But by summer, by June, maybe before the All-Star break, where you get some time between the second half to where you can make that decision. I think we get to that point. But the more we get into May, I don't think it's going to happen now. But it's going to happen at some point, though.
Yeah. Another disappointing team, the Cleveland Guardians. They lost to the Tigers tonight, 6-2. Their offense just is not clicking. What do you think is going on in Cleveland?
It's kind of I think we're kind of seeing just the flaws of the team. Like they were a good offensive team, but they were still like you had Ramirez, who was one of the better. That's the puzzling about Cleveland is Ramirez has still not been. He's not been that great hitter this year that we saw him last year. I mean, again, he was one of, if not top 3, top 5, hitters in baseball.
Right.
He hasn't been close to that, and that's the problem for Cleveland as far as offensively. If your number one guy, your top guy is not producing, you're going to struggle. Absolutely. And that's where as good as this offense is and can be, it all funnels through Jose Ramirez.
Yeah.
The pitching staff, I'm not necessarily worried about the pitching staff because they've been dealing with injuries. So, and if you're within the Bobby Cox back in the 90s and early 2000s with the Braves, he says as long as you're within 5 games at the All-Star break for the division or a wild card, you're in it still. I think Cleveland's going to hang around with Minnesota and still be within that reach that when you get everybody back on the pitching side, they're going to turn it back on everything. But the offensive side is what concerns me more. That they're not in sync. They're not producing. And it's the top guy. The top guy has to funnel everything going for the rest of the lineup to go. And Jose Ramirez has got to figure it out, because if he doesn't figure it out, this offense is not good enough to let alone compete, compete for the division, maybe. But again, if you got bigger aspirations, and Cleveland did, they had bigger aspirations, challenging the Yankees in the postseason. You're not beating the AL East teams that are competing for the wild card and the division title in the East, and you're not competing with the Astros, Rangers, Mariners out west. You have to find a way to get that offense rolling better.
Yeah, agreed. Tanner?
And if you look at it too, Cleveland right now, their offense is horrendous. 29th in batting average, 28th in runs. Meanwhile, their pitching is the only thing that's keeping them around, with the 9th in the earned runs average, 8th in whip. Like it's just amazing how, like, we see teams a lot of times that are the complete flip flop, where they can score out the butt, but their pitching and defense is horrendous. This is like a complete reverse, and all the Cleveland has to do, 3 to 4 runs. They should get the victory in this kind of situation. Yeah. By the way, who in the world would have picked Detroit here to be second place in this AL West or AL Central going into this point? Because I sure didn't see it.
Yeah, and I like it. Because again, the biggest story about it is Miguel Cabrera. Yeah, you want Cabrera to get up. Give him one more opportunity to make a run. And that's what I want to see. Give him the farewell, and that's what it is, the farewell tour of Cabrera. But can we get him in the spotlight in the playoffs one more time? Because, well, God, how long has it been since we saw Miguel Cabrera in the postseason? It's been a long time. So I think it's exciting. It's intriguing. Is it for real? No, no, it's not for real. As bad as this division is, it's still a 2-horse race with Twins and Cleveland when it's all said and done. But I like it. I mean, because again, we talked about it when we did the preseason, talking about all the teams and everything. We never gave Detroit it. It was who's the worst, Detroit or Kansas City? So this, it's you kind of look at it like, man, Detroit's really doing something right now. They're winning. They're playing good baseball while nobody's showing up to the stadium to watch them play. They're playing good ball. So I like it. I think it's exciting to see, and it's exciting to hope to have Miguel Cabrera get at least one more postseason run and kind of see him on that stage again. Shout
out local KC kid Joey Wentz, who went rock hard today in the pitching for Detroit. So he retired 13 of 14, giving a pair of walks in the 6th. Hey, man, you know what? You got the win 6-2. Shout out Joey Wentz, dude. I love seeing local kids doing big things in this area. So, by the way, in case you guys didn't know, we weren't the worst team in the league, right? Royals aren't the worst team, but we did have a pitcher barf on the field today. So that is going to be a notation of how well the season's going. So I don't know if it was the hitting, the defense, or maybe just his pitching. I don't know yet.
I haven't seen that yet. I
just got word of it. My Jason out here, JG, texted in. He goes, Royals pitcher just barfed on the field. I go, oh, this is great.
Was it major league debut, or is it someone who's been on there all season?
I thought it was somebody that's been around. Now, we had our guy, I believe it was his second start, got beamed yesterday right in the face. Left, no, he's out on the 15 IL now on that. But, they're winning 12-5. But I believe, and I'll tell you who it was here in a second. Where are you at here? Of course, you're not going to tell me stats. Thanks, Yahoo. You're wonderful because you're great at stuff. All right, I don't know who. I think it was Castillo. Yeah, it was either Garrett or Castillo. So it's been two guys that have been around for a bit. But seriously, how bad can this be? I mean, is that an owner's deal? Is he calling in the bullpen or the manager say, hey, we gotta get this new stadium. Have him barf on the field. This has to be it, right? Sabotage is going up.
I've reflected. I've always thought about if I would have had my major league, if I would have been able to get to the major leagues, how I honestly couldn't say I wouldn't have been that nervous to the point where I would hope if I felt I got to the point where I was going to throw up on the field, I'd run to the dugout as fast as I can. I don't care if it causes a pitch clock violation or whatnot. I'll pay the fine for my pitcher later on or whatnot. But my goodness, like I said, I don't have a word for that. I really don't have words.
I don't know, man. Like you play in the the minors. So the minors are, they can have fairly packed stadiums. Not that I don't think the Royals minor leagues had any, from what I heard last, at least up in Omaha. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on, dude.
I'll give you a phrase. It's the most Royals thing that could ever happen.
Oh no.
I mean, you did something that the Oakland A's didn't do.
No, the Oakland A's didn't.
They have possums running into there. All right, let's finish this out here. I want to talk about the Yankees here, their struggles, their worries. I know we talk about them every freaking week. It's like the Los Angeles Lakers. You just got to bring them up at some point here. Look, even Boston's out here with the 8-2 stretch right now in the last 10, Scott. Scott, I know you're happy right now. So, but you got a 4-6 last 10 stretch. You're still on the positive differential, but your team stinks. They can't close out a game. Garrett Cole is about to go rip somebody's head off in the outfield 3 times a game. What are we doing there in the Yankees? What is going on? Are we seeing the biggest downfall from a year in, year out now?
Is that for me or for Scott?
No, it's for you.
Either. I don't care who answers.
Well, this is what I'll tell you before Jonathan goes. The injuries are really playing havoc with them right now. They have no lineup at all. Their pitching staff is Garrett Cole. Nestor Cortez pitched a good game tonight, but the last 3 or 4 starts, he's not been Nestor Cortez. So the injuries are really causing havoc with that team. So,
yeah, we say that all the time that it's a flawed team. It's not a shock to us what they are right now. They're not a contender. I mean, we know Cole is a great pitcher. We know he is the top 5 type of pitcher. But what's going to make it worse for the Yankees is we know he gets a stretch during the season, especially during the summer when it gets hot. he is absolutely one of the worst pitchers at a point. He'll make 3 or 4 horrible starts, and you're sitting there going, and he's going to get booed in Yankee Stadium because of that. We know, we've seen it year after year that he's been there. That if and when that happens, what answer do you have if you're the Yankees? You're hoping Cortez has a game like this tonight again, which again, yeah, he pitched well, but who is the number 2 of this staff? I mean, Rodon's out. Like, they don't know when Rodon's coming back because they said the back injury is really been bad. So he's paid to be the number 2. Is Cortez the number 2? Who do you have that can make this rotation, decent? Because that's what you need. To even get yourself in the conversation in this division with the East, you have to have a good pitching staff, especially with a team that can score. I mean, I know they're still beating up on the lineup too, and they have a lot of holes in the lineup, but they can still score runs. They put 7 runs up on the board, so they have that opportunity to do it, but you can't score 7 every night, and you can't expect your pitching staff to keep to give up 7-8 runs and still win those games too. So there's a lot of issues beyond the injuries. I know a lot of Yankee fans who have been saying, well, once we get healthy, we'll see what this team looks like. I don't see it. Again, we are seeing the Blue Jays. We're seeing the Blue Jays kind of, fulfill the hype that we've heard for 2 years. We, from them that's a good team. They're kind of figuring it out a little bit more as we go. Tampa is just the hot team that when we just talked about they're the best team in baseball. They handled the Orioles again, tonight. A team that's pushing themselves into contendership as well.
Yeah.
Where do the Yankees fit to make that run with the players they have and with the holes they have on top of the injuries they have? I don't know, and that's going to be where I said to you guys before on the show, where at what point does the conversation of Boone and Cashman start having their job on the hot seat? This might be the year. If they're gonna miss the playoffs, they're gonna miss the postseason. If they're a 3 team in the division, they miss it because other teams got better. I think they're fine. But if they're last place in this division, my goodness, the Bronx is they're gonna riot in the Bronx, and they're gonna want heads on a platter, and that's Aaron Boone and that's Brian Cashman.
And the thing everybody says is beginning of the year, it's the Yankees. They'll figure it out. Well, eventually you're not going to be able to figure it out. And this, as you said, this may be the year that they just can't figure it out.
And I think at the same time, it's like, they were. I honestly kind of feel they were banking on Aaron Judge having another 60 home run season.
Yeah,
they were.
They were banking on him being able to do that again, repeating history on that. It hasn't happened. We've never. I mean, we've seen Sosa came close to. He's done. He had the 66 home runs in the chase with McGuire, and it came back and was like. I think he didn't hit 60 again. I don't think. I think he was upper. I think it was like 58 or 59, which that's a rare occurrence that you see.
Yeah.
In today's game, I don't think that's possible. I think what we saw from Judge was just the outlier of his career. He's a 40 home run guy who just had a historical season in 2022. You can't repeat. You can't have historical seasons on repeat. That's just not fathomable to think. But people in Bronx, Yankee fans, they're like, yeah, he's the best hitter. He's going to put up 50, 60 home runs again. He'll hit 70 home runs. There ain't no way that was going to happen. The way that these teams pitched now, and they're not going to give them that chance to really beat them. Especially as as bad as that lineup is, with Stanton on the IL, you have Rizzo's is the same player we've seen in his history. Donaldson's on the IL, and he's not the same player we've seen. LeMahieu's got some injury histories. He's not the same player we've seen over the last 2 years.
Shocker.
There's no way you're going to let Judge beat you. See if Cabrera can beat you. See if Volpe can beat you. See if these guys, can do it, and they can't do it. And that's what's going to that's going to hurt them until they figure out how. They're trying to do this youth movement. Great, awesome. It's not working though, and maybe that's kind of why they avoided the youth movement for so many years, because they just know that their farm system's never been really that great. They never had the top prospects in baseball. They've had good prospects. They trade them for top players that are in the MLB, and they go from there.
It's correct. We saw it last year, right? They had other players happening. Like, they had other things going on in that offense of causing pitchers to have to pitch more. There was more selection being available. There was more guys on base when it happened. And now you're going into this year thinking it's going to be the same thing. You're, hey, we're going to have some, we'll still have guys on base. We'll still get these pitchers tired. These pitchers are fresh when they get to Aaron Judge. And Aaron Judge hasn't seen enough pitches coming from these guys because of the previous batters. So I think you're seeing in the same situation here. It's like Aaron Judge, they banked on it. And I mean, when they banked on it, they're like, hey, we're going back to the playoffs here and we're going to change it around, kind of bank.
The issue they had is they didn't have a plan B. That's why they matched. That's why they basically did what they did to match the Giants' offer. Because again, that was the talk was the Giants were going to offer, the big deal that he was going to get, and the Yankees matched it, or they kind of beat it, to because they didn't have a plan B on how to replace Judge. There was, and there was not. And I'll say I'll get it that there wasn't options in the outfield that says you can put pieces together. But could you have gotten two more players to at least substitute the production wise for them? Maybe, but you're invested heavy on Stanton. You're invested heavy on Cole. You've invested heavy with Rizzo. Even though Rizzo's not the same kind of deal, but they gave him a good contract for the player that he is. He's not that great of a player anymore, but he's being paid as if he is. So I mean, they've kind of made some questionable. They made some questionable picks or questionable decisions to fill out this roster with the holes they've had, and that's I don't see how you fix it anytime soon right now.
No, I don't either, and it's a unfortunate thing here too. And all right, so a guy, for instance, right, Jonathan, you've had a back injury before, and you're kind of still dealing with it, recovering from it still. Like how hard is it to go from a season like Judge had right last year, where you had the team on your back, but you were also performing in such a different way, hitting 60 home runs, and that takes a toll, right? That takes a toll on your body, especially being that big as he is, because he's a freaking big guy. It's it's a little harder to move those muscles, and it affects you a little bit more. What do you think his body's like right now? Because obviously he's out from the IL for a 10-day yet. And we still haven't seen him come back here. I still haven't heard any announcements of him coming back. Like, what's the toll on the body like for a player in this kind of, spectate right now?
Well, if we remember too, he and Stanton have both had oblique injuries for at times in their career. Which I mean, it's not necessarily the back, but it's a connector to the back and core that you have. And you're trying to strengthen and be able to rotate, and as big as a body. Again, we've never seen a guy as big as Judge. I mean, again, Stanton's a big guy himself.
Yes.
I mean, there's never been a position player that we've seen that's an outfielder that's 6'8", 250, or 240, 250 that plays like Judge has. And the body's going to break down. Now, fortunately, he stayed healthy enough last year to do what he did and carry, as you said, carry the Yankees to the postseason and make a run that they did. But it takes that toll. And again, they're putting him in center field, which is it's unthinkable that a 6'8", 240 is playing center field.
Yeah,
that's a small forward, power forward in the NBA that you're seeing out there. That's running around and is a speed position player. It's essentially LeBron James. He is the baseball's version of LeBron James as far as the size that he is, playing a position that is versatile of a position that he can play. He can play all three outfield spots. They put him at first base at one point in spring training. So I mean, like we're seeing something about Judge that we never have seen from a guy that size playing the speed position in center field. That in itself, if you're talking about toll on your body, that is a toll on your body, and especially if you're a normal sized guy. That's why the Braves don't put Ronald Acuna in center field really anymore, because they know how bad that's going to be on his body. We saw the center fielders back in the day who their legs get torn up because of it. You're talking about Aaron Judge with a back problem, who's got back problems in the past, who's had oblique injuries too on top of it, as big as he is. I would be concerned if I'm a New York Yankee front office after committing to as many years as you did to get him, because you had no choice. You didn't have a choice to do it, because if they let Judge walk to San Francisco, they're burying their career. The Yankee front office had to do it because, again, they didn't have a backup plan, but two, you couldn't let him walk. They just named him captain for the reason of what he is. But the body, again, I'm not 6'8", 240. I'm 6'2", 215 now. But my playing days as a first baseman, third baseman, I was, and even when I was an outfielder, I was 205, 210. So and my body couldn't handle a lot of the abuse that I put through. You're talking about a guy that's big, that size, playing a speed position, and with the power that he can generate. Yes, that body is going to take a beating now in the first year of a contract. Imagine 6 years, 7 years down the road of that contract, what his body's going to be as well. Like
That's true.
It's going to be kind of a panic mode if you're thinking like you've invested, 10 plus years, 11 plus, 12 years, 13 years. I think it was 13 years contract he signed to stay with the Yankees with the injury history he already had. That's a problem. And I would be concerned if I'm the front office of the Yankees, knowing that you committed that many years to a guy who is going to break down because that's just the history he's already had. You see Stan, he's kind of that way right now. Stan can't stay healthy, and he's a big guy too. He doesn't play the outfield position anymore because he can't do it.
Stanton's never stayed healthy either. Like he had 2 good years, and then he's never stayed healthy since he signed that big monster deal.
But he had the injury history in Miami as well. Like he was.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They signed the deal, and it was injury time from there on.
He had great years in Miami, but he was still injured.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and another guy you could put in that category, Byron Buxton. Look what he's doing now. He's DHing most of the time now, so because he gets hurt. So,
it's just amazing to me, like just with the way things are with Judge. Like it's a guy, there's capability. Like you said, LeBron James, right? He has kind of like a LeBron James talent, but it's the unfortunate of this kind of sport where it does take a toll on your body. It takes a toll on your back. You have to, you have to be flexible as heck in those hips, the back, without having the tightness there. And about it, Jonathan. You played in the, in the single A there, and you know all about it. Like these seasons are long. These seasons go on. Sometimes it seems like forever for some people, and it's just the constant worries of being a guy that size. Things are going to go wrong.
The thing for me, my injury with my back, we've all watched sports. I had the same injury that Tony Romo had surgery on, that Tiger Woods has multiple surgeries on, and ruptured disc in my back. It wasn't muscular that I had. So, but that's what we've seen with Judge has been muscular, and that's why it's a little different. It was hard for me to do the things that I did for so many years playing through my injury. A big guy like Judge who has as much muscle mass as he does with the muscle injuries he's had. I mean, that's tough. That's very hard to do when he did, and being able to stay healthy enough to be able to continue to have success. That was the biggest question mark before last year. Can he stay healthy enough to have success, and can he sustain the success when he is healthy? He answered those questions for one season. Well, here we are again now. Here we are. We're kind of revisiting those questions. Can he stay healthy? Can he produce when he does stay healthy? Well, right now, the injury questions are kind of popping back up, and the production is not the same. Again, unfair to say that the production does not match what he did in 2022. He'll never match that again. No doubt. But the question is, how can he be the 40 home run hitter that drives in 110 RBIs? In bat 280 to 300 like he did, batting over 300 last year. Almost won a Triple Crown.
Yeah.
I think the realistic, can he bat, let's just say 285. Let's round up to 285 to 300. Can he be in that range with 40 home runs and 110 RBIs? That's more realistic. I think they need to shoot for him to be as successful as he can within the contract he is. If he can produce that, I don't see anybody having a problem. But when you have the unrealistic expectations of 60 home runs, 330 batting average with 130 RBIs, and I might be going a little bit overboard on that. That's not realistic to sit there and say, especially a guy who has the muscular injury history that he's had throughout his career.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
It's, things to see, things to come. We'll see when he gets announced back off the IL, and I'm interested to see how effective he looks too. I mean, he's already banged up. It's early in the season. It's gonna be interesting to see how long he lasts here going into June and July. So things to come. Jonathan, what you got coming up this weekend, dude?
Not as much, not as busy this weekend as I was this past weekend. I mean, I drove all over DFW, even with the rain as much did. So I'm I'm still mentally exhausted. It was supposed to be kind of a slow day for me today with all the practices, and I still had to do a little bit more than what I really wanted to do. So I'm hoping a little bit lighter weekend for me, which we only have one team playing this weekend. So, yeah, and I'm not going to be coaching that group. I'm going to be sitting there watching and evaluating. So it'll be a little bit lighter. I might get some more rest than what I have done this past weekend. Didn't get any rest this past weekend, I'll say that. Because especially once it rains, I have to be up at 4 a.m. to make sure I get the updates to share to my parents in the organization to make sure that they're not getting up and leaving and then like, oh, hey, the tournament's canceled. So I was up at 4 a.m. and then went to go watch my 10U team play down 45 minutes south of where I'm at and go watch them play, and because they played on turf, so the rain didn't affect them. Still, but being up at 4 o'clock and waiting for updates, that was not fun. So rest is what I need a little bit more of, but it is what it is. It comes with the job. But one team playing this weekend in a tournament, and then my 16 and 18U teams, they're still ramping up, practicing right now. We're hoping to do a scrimmage this weekend. Mother's Day is kind of throwing us a little bit of a loop with schedules to do that, but we're trying to get them ready for their season starting up at the end. 16U starts at the end of May. 18U starts at the beginning of June. And then you're talking about being busy. When June rolls around, I'll be traveling 3 straight weeks out of the state of out of the state of Texas, going to Oklahoma and Louisiana a couple of times here and there. So I'm trying to make sure I can get a little bit of rest before that happens. But so one team in action this weekend, watching them and kind of seeing things going and getting things progressing. And that's my focus is still using that word, and our development is progressing forward and growing what we need to grow.
That's awesome, dude. Hey, it's all fun, right? It's all fun in the end. It's going to be a blast.
It is. It's fun.
It's tiring, but it's going to be a blast.
I'd say, look, it is fun, especially when I see the kids get the success that they've worked for. And, I can look to the parents and say, this is why. This is what we're doing. Buy in. That's the hardest part of what I do is not convincing. I don't want to use that word, but it's selling. Selling the plan that we a lot of these organizations in youth sports don't have plans. They just go do, and they never explain and understand to parents like what the plan is for the now, the present, and the future. I have a plan in place for now, for 6 months, for 1 year, for 2 years, for 3 years down the road, and so on, and trying to get them to understand the bigger picture of what we're trying to do and accomplish. Not just now. Yes, the now is necessary, but the future is more important, because if we can provide them the success in the future, that's when we start getting to the direction we want, where we're becoming, like I keep telling everybody, be a college prep program, sending girls to college every year. And it's just funneling these athletes to colleges, and it's just next year is the same, and the next year is the same, the next year is the same. That's the future that I'm wanting to be able to provide these kids, is that opportunity, the parents to understand that the plan is there, buy into it, and then they can see it and go from there. And that's the fun part. That is the fun part. It's the stressful part. It's the me going, me pulling my hair out part, me going gray part. But it's what I signed up to do this for, and that's my why for it. And we're getting there. We're getting there for it.
Like I said, W's are fun, but growing is better. Growing is
absolutely
better. W's are fun. Growing is better.
Absolutely. Oh yes.
So awesome, Jonathan. Oh, by the way, real quick, Alan did comment in. I did not click on anything yet. He says, when it finally clicks, your team is garbage. The throw up. We were talking about the Royals there. Appreciate you. He is announcing that there is going to be a guest on the baseball show tomorrow. Kind of curious to see on that one.
I
know. Should we be worried?
Should we be worried, Alan?
That's what I want to know.
That's intriguing. That's a
Rodon,
just that there's going to be a guest.
The guest. That's an intriguing tease. I'm intrigued by that.
Right?
Excited for 3 o'clock tomorrow. Then.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Rodon can miss this entire year. That's very true, Alan. And Logan Gilbert has a perfect game going through 5 against Texas right now.
And Alan's watching that intently.
He is. They're in the mid-6 right now, and there's still a perfect game going to the bottom of the six here.
Can't say that word, though. You can't say those 2 words.
That's what he did.
Alan, come on.
What he did. Just jinxed it. I didn't have to jinx it because he jinxed it already. So
My goodness.
Alan one day will learn. Probably not. But I learned.
The superstitious ball player in me is cringing because those two words
don't ever say anything like that. Just let it be. Just let it go. You got to learn, Alan, to never say anything in the comments about a perfect game, about a no-hitter. We don't say those words. Guess what? You just let it go. Unless you're rooting against the team that's doing it, then
you leave it alone. You let it settle. You leave it alone. You push it. You just kind of distance yourself as much as possible and enjoy the ride when it occurs.
Yep. I'm right there with you. I had one guy tell me one time, it was like the fourth inning. He goes, dude, you had no hitter. I go, I hate you right now. And sure enough, that first at bat, boom, single to right.
I'll say this real quick. I had one of my going as far as on the softball side, one of my girls last year, she was in the midst of a no hitter, and she comes up to me and she kind of realized it, and she goes, hey, I've got a no hitter going, don't I? I'm like, shh. She goes, and she's freaked out by me. I literally did shush her on the field. I was like, she goes, what? Freaked her out for a second. Like, what? I'm like, don't, just like I didn't say a word. I just kind of shh. I pointed to the dugout. Just then, I'm just like, and she was so freaked out by it too. She didn't understand what I was doing to the point after, and she ended up she did throw the no hitter, but she comes up to me and goes, why were you shushing me? I was like, you never speak about a no-hitter when you're the pitcher throwing it. Oh, never do it. And again, it's a baseball thing. Girls on the softball side, they don't see it that way. They will all talk about it. I'm just like, oh my God.
You're just dreading it. You're like in a corner cuddled up, like, why?
Yes. I have to explain though. Like, you never. It's super. Well, we're not superstitious. I am, and I'm telling you to shut up. Stop it. Stop talking.
Exactly. Alan said he is trying to jinx it. That's fair. So it is Seattle 1-0. Seattle does have a shutout going against Texas. So that is why Alan is trying to jinx it.
But it doesn't work that way though. If you're wanting it, then it doesn't work that way. It works. If you're in favor of it, you can't say it. If you're against it, it doesn't work. It just doesn't work.
It doesn't work that way.
No. So, I mean, he might be encouraging the no hitter now by trying to speak it out so much.
Hey, guess what? We got 3 more innings until we message Alan. So he did say the guest tomorrow is Mitch Kofsky of Hardcore Sports over there. Great guy, Philadelphia guy. Yep. Great Phillies fan as well. So this will actually be a really good show tomorrow on the baseball show at 3 p.m. Central?
Yes.
Yeah.
4 p.m. Eastern?
4 p.m. Eastern.
So, right here in Let's Talk Sports, guys. Jonathan and Scott will be on, along with Dan Kiribia.
No, Dan's in the witness protection program in
Norway. He's still in the witness protection program? He's been in for like 3 weeks.
Well, he's avoiding me after the Braves beating the Mets, and then the Mets getting swept by Detroit. You know, he's hiding right now.
Didn't they lose a Seattle series just now too? I'm pretty sure.
I don't know on that one. I don't know.
No, I don't think they played Seattle yet.
I just know I know they lost the series to us, and then they got swept by Detroit after that as well. So it was not. And then Verlander getting rocked in his season debut and his Mets debut by Detroit didn't help it. Didn't help even more for the Mets fans as well. So I think they're all hiding under rocks or hiding in the subway right now in Queens.
I think they're in shelter right now after that one, especially. By the way, this will load real quick. I just want to know. They just got done with a series where they just lost over there. So May, it was the Colorado Rockies. They just lost the series too, 2-1. So Colorado won 2-1 against the Mets.
Yeah, I'm
wow. All right.
I'm smiling big. My Braves are winning and the Mets are losing. It's a beautiful part of the season right now.
Jonathan, something to watch for now. They got Cincy for 3 games, Washington for 4 games, Tampa for 3 games, Cleveland for 3 games before their next day off after today. So they got an interesting potential kind of craziness going into this thing here. Alan says, Jonathan, champagne at ready with the Braves having the only winning record in the NL East.
It's great.
He's not going to pop the champagne. He's not going to do anything with the champagne. The champagne's stashed far away until that final week when they clinch.
If I know Jonathan well enough, he'll say it's only 40-something games into the season. There's still plenty of time left for things to go. I'm
smiling happy, but I know, again, we saw the Braves, last 2 years struggle out the gate and find a way to win.
Yep.
We're a little bit different right now doing it this way. We're kind of, Braves fans are a little bit in shock right now. We don't really understand what's happening. We're so used to being 10 games under 500 by the All-Star break, and they're like, oh, wait a minute, we got to play good ball now. Okay, cool, we'll do it. We're this is the best. I think I saw that this is the best start the Braves had since 2000.
Yep.
So this is a little bit brand new for us Braves fans that we don't really understand what's happening right now. But we're not complaining. No. But we're not celebrating a world championship right now. We're gonna wait till October, and when that final out in the NLCS does happen, I'll pop my 10 bottles of champagne and have some fun like I did 2 years ago.
That's right. You gotta wait for it. All right, everybody. Jonathan Gershman, appreciate you hopping on. Love talking to you every Monday. We'll catch you next Monday, dude.
Sounds good, guys.
See you, dude.
See y'all.
Yep. And Alan ruined it.
Base hit. Thank God. There goes the no-hitter. Alan got his wish. Oh, man. I tell you what. Things happen.
Alan.
My man, I appreciate you joining me.
Anytime.
Filling in for Mr. Botkins out here. It was a blast. It was wonderful to have you on. Great talking.
Big shoes to fill. Great
talking MLB, talking NBA with you. The few things we don't talk about right now is the NFL, because it's kind of the dead point in the season, really. Like we're not late enough to talk about fantasy football or the start of the season, and it's just not like we're past the draft. So there's other great stuff going on in the sports world.
Absolutely. NBA and NHL playoffs are coming to a climax here, and they're getting really good. So
that's right. Hey, Scott, what do you got going on this week? Where can we find you?
We got the baseball show tomorrow with Jonathan, Mitch, and Alan. We got a Wednesday morning newsletter with Alan and myself. And then Thursday, the Scott Cove show with, I think, Chuck Foreman's my guest Thursday night. So that'll be really interesting.
Nice.
And then Friday, got an off day. And then in the Hoop Saturday with you and hopefully the returning JG. So
Mr. JG. Sounds like he'll be back this time. So
Okay.
Not too concerned about him being back here. Guys, you can find me Wednesday night. Actually, I think I'm going to be Wednesday, I guess, early afternoon, early evening, I guess it was, late afternoon, on the Ash show over there on Let's Talk Sports. I'll be on with Ash, so that'll be a fun time there. Catch me Wednesday night with the Buffoons. We will be starting at 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern, right here on Let's Talk Sports in the Sports Buffoon channel. And then in the Hoop on Saturday or Sunday, still be to be determined there with JG, Scott, myself. And I think you should expect probably a show from me some point this week as well on my Whiskey Sports podcast. Still up in the air what I want to do. I took a little last week. I kind of took a break. This week I will put out something. I don't know what yet. We're going to put out something, though. It's going to be a blast. So everybody make sure you hit like, subscribe, follow. As Botkins would say, be a friend, tell a friend. We will catch you next Monday night, guys. Everybody have a fabulous week. Catch you guys later.